Today I'm going to be breaking down the things you'll need as a science-related major in college. So my name is Josh if you're new to the channel, and I'm a biomedical science, behavioral neuroscience double major, and I'm currently finishing up my freshman year in college at the time that I'm recording this. It is exam week, so I'm kind of procrastinating work right now, but I'm going to be a sophomore next year. So here are the things that I felt like I needed most to feel like I was the most productive throughout the year and had the best handle on all my courses. First thing is going to be a pair of these goggles. You're going to need them for all the labs you pretty much take throughout your college career. I've needed it so far for my biology lab and both of my chemistry labs that I've taken so far. You're going to need it for those types of classes that you deal with chemicals, or you deal with experiments and reactions and stuff. You're going to have to buy one anyway, so you might as well keep it. I always keep it in my backpack because of a time that I forgot it. Very second week, actually. The first week I bought it, brought it to class, had it, and everything was fine. Second week, I took it out, set it on my desk, forgot to bring it back last time. For the next week, and I forgot it. Obviously, you can't have it. They don't legally allow you to, I think, for in case there's an injury, a liability issue. So they don't allow you to do the experiment. So I had to go back home. I just sat here the whole day, wasted my day pretty much. Then I had to go to the makeup week, which is actually now during exam week, is when they do makeup weeks for any labs you might have missed. So that really stunk because I had to go back in, make it up because I forgot my goggles that first time. So definitely buy a pair of these. If they don't have them on your campus, you can order them, I believe, off of Amazon, or probably find them at a local store that you have. You do need them. It's a certain pair. You can't just buy any pair of goggles. So be sure to buy one of those. It's definitely a necessity for college. Now, of course, these are in no particular order. They're just my top 5 listed, not exactly 5 being the least important and 1 being the most important. But number 4 is going to be a graphing notebook. So as you can see, the inside pages here are graphs, and these are going to be used for stuff like chemistry and anatomy, where it's easy to label stuff, and it's easy, at least specifically for me, I found it a lot easier to make reactions and draw up the the anatomy of a figure and label that. Was a lot easier mentally and physically to have a copy of it rather than doing it on an electronic computer where you just label it on a printed graph. I find it a lot easier to have a hard copy in my hand. For studying and for purposes like, I feel like I memorize it better when I write it down myself rather than typing it, and I guess it's been proved that you do memorize stuff better when you draw it yourself, write it down yourself, instead of typing it or just reading it when it's already done for you. So that's definitely a necessity. You're going to need a graphing book, and on top of that, going right into number 3 is actually going to be a graphing calculator. So this isn't, of course, a necessity because it's kind of counterintuitive that I say it's a necessity, but it's not really a necessity. But you're going to need one for stuff like calculus. You're going to need stuff for chemistry when you're doing reactions and stuff like that. You're going to be taking logs, exponential logs and stuff like that. You're going to have a lot of functions in chemistry. And you have to go through Calculus 1, at least I do as a biomedical science major. I tested out a Calculus 1, so I didn't need it, but I did have to use it pretty much the entire year, both last semester and this semester for my chemistry class. And I plan on using it a lot more in the future. So number 2 is actually something that I can't physically show you. That's going to be a network. Now, what I mean by that is you're going to want to make connections with both your peers, kids in class that you have with you, and your teachers, of course. You're going to want to start doing that early in your college career. I've joined a couple of clubs this semester. I've joined a couple of intramural sports teams, but I've definitely made connections with both my peers and a couple of my teachers. Go to office hours. I know everybody says it, but it's really true that not a lot of people go to office hours. All of the teachers that I have gone to office hours for have been more than happy to have me. They haven't had anybody where they've had to reschedule because they've been so busy. There's always going to be a time slot. So definitely look out for that and try and reach out to your teachers because it's going to be needed for recommendation letters, for trying to get into a lab to do some research with them. And going on that, actually you want to do some research in your undergrad. You don't have to publish anything, of course, but from the experience I've had, I've started doing my own personal research and I've connected with a teacher. However, if you don't want to connect with a teacher, you can try and do stuff on your own, but of course, it's not a necessity to do research in your undergrad, but because that'll more come in medical school. But it is really nice to get a head start, especially because you'll know what the process is in research, so that when you get to medical school and you have to do research, it's not really your first time doing research, even if it's your first time with like a group. But if you do some stuff on your own and you know how, the process goes, that'll help a lot so that it's not your first time when you get down the road. And for peers, you're going to have a lot of hard classes. I'm in anatomy right now. I'm taking organic chemistry next semester, I'm going to be taking human physiology next semester as well, both lecture and lab for both of those courses. So what I'm going to need is a lot of connections with both students and the teachers. So for peers, I'm going to want to get into group me's. I'm going to want to get into Snapchat groups, text messages at least, exchange numbers with other people. You're going to have to make those connections because a lot of times kids are shy, and especially today's age where all your classes went from online to in person to back online to back in person. It's really tough to communicate with people, and some people, especially me, kind of forgot how to hold a conversation and how to reach out to somebody and ask them for something that I want. So if I'm trying to get their number, because we have a hard class together, it's really nice because you're like, hey, you want to work on the homework together, or I have a review packet, do you want to compare answers? That's used a lot in my anatomy class. We have about 130 students in that class as a whole, and there are 2 sections, so there's actually about 260 students. At the beginning of the semester, at least some kids dropped, of course, because like I said, it's a hard class. But it helped me to make those connections. I'm in a group me with about 65 of the 130 other students in my class, and it helps me a lot because at least this week, when we have exams, we have a review packet, and we have a cumulative review packet. And it's nice because I reach out to people and I say, hey, do you want to compare answers? I have this set and you have that set. Let's see what we got. Here's a true and false. Here's a matching. Did you get the same thing as I did? And you can compare your answers and kind of go through your thought process, which totally helps a lot because a lot of other students might not feel as prepared for the exam or feel that the class is hard as well. And it's nice to have that backbone, to kind of have that support, that group that can help you out if you need help. And then they obviously appreciate having help when you reach out, because some people, like I said, don't know how to reach out and know how to ask for that kind of help. So if you make the first move, it's really going to help you a lot. Number 1, again, in no particular order, probably isn't going to come as a surprise, but it's a computer. You're going to want a really nice, not to say nice, but a really well-functioning computer, because I've got a ton of tabs open pretty much all the time. So especially now during exam week, when I've got 5 different classes and a lab, and I'm trying to get a bunch of different tabs open and work on projects, and I have a final presentation or an essay, and I'm doing research, and I have to accumulate all of these links, and I have to do APA format citations and stuff like that. I'm gonna have a ton of tabs open. So what I'm gonna wanna do is get a computer that works well, that can hold a lot of tabs open, so I don't be like, okay, I need to narrow down my tabs because my computer stopped working or it restarts or it doesn't really run as fast and I'm trying to do this on a time crunch. You wanna make sure that you don't have to worry about that time crunch because you have so many tabs open and your computer runs slow. So I've got about 15 tabs open right now, and my computer works pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. It's helped me a lot throughout my entire career. Only that's freshman year, but last semester and this semester, I use it all the time. I use it for homework, presentations, essays, stuff like that. There are school computers provided online, on campus, I mean. So if you do not have a computer that works super well, there are probably at least the same quality, maybe nicer ones on your campus that you can go out and seek. We have a library that has some pretty good computers that I could go use if I want to, which is really beneficial. However, I find it a lot easier to do it in my dorm because it's about a 10-minute walk in order to get to the library where those computers are stationed. So I find it a lot easier because if I'm either running short on time, like I said, in a time crunch, it's really nice for me to take my computer while I'm in my dorm and be like, hey, I can work on my essay from here, I can present from here. If it's online, I don't need to stress and worry about Wi-Fi. And if there is a Wi-Fi problem in the dorm, I can go to the library. If there's a Wi-Fi problem at the library, I can come to my dorm. I can use, LTE, and it kind of works like that. So that's something that's really nice. You're going to want a computer, you're going to want your graphing calculator, your graphing notebook, you're going to want your pair of goggles for all the labs you're going to be taking throughout your entire year, and definitely you're going to want to network. Thank you all so much for joining me in the top 5 things you're going to need if you're a science-related major in college. Like I said, my name is Josh. I am a biomedical science, behavioral neuroscience double major, finishing up my freshman year in college, about to be a sophomore, and I cannot wait. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my journey. Like the video if you want more content like this, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.